back to North Mississippi Game Day podcast here. I'm Ronnie Williams, joined by Josh Guest. And Josh, man, what a fun Friday night. You and I had a great game. Lafayette comes up with a big win over Hernando there in Oxford. But there were good games all over the area. And here at North Mississippi Game Day, one of the things we want to do is we want to spotlight our players and our schools from all of North Mississippi. So, like for instance, Ethan Adams, a running back from Ripley, this week had 141 yards, 3 touchdowns on 21 carries as Ripley beat Boonville 21-3.
That's a pretty good performance.
Three touchdowns, and they scored 21 points.
Yes, he gobbled them all up.
That's right.
He did. Another kid from Oklahoma, wide receiver, Kingston Blanchard. He had 3 catches for 95 and 2 touchdowns. And not only that, he had a 67-yard kickoff return for a touchdown. And Oklahoma won 27-6 over Nettleton. So Mr. Blanchard was getting it done as well. Sounds like he was burning it up, running up and down the field for sure.
Absolutely. Three of the 4 touchdowns, or three touchdowns out of the 27 points belong to him. Of course, Regents, located right here in Oxford. And hey, we're going to do everybody. We're not just picking on Oxford schools or anything, but if a kid has a great outing, we're going to talk about it. We got Wade Hill, tight end linebacker from Regents, 3 catches, 91 yards, had a touchdown, made 10 tackles. 3 of those were for a loss, had a sack and a half, an interception, and a block kick as Regents won their second game of the year, second game ever, 35-19 over Rossville Christian, and now they're on a winning streak.
They are, and if you just want to look up the definition of filling up the stat sheet,
yeah,
that's what Wade Hill did.
He
filled up the stat sheet.
He did.
And so Biggersville up in northeast Mississippi, right?
Yeah.
Zay Mays. Yeah, on 45. Yeah, north of Tupelo, south of Corinth, I think. 9 of 13 passing for 260 yards with 3 touchdowns. He did have an interception. He also rushed for 118 and 2 touchdowns on 5 carries. Biggersville 41, Alcorn Central 6. And I spent some time at Alcorn Central a long time ago.
Yeah. And you talked about that. They were purple.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
So I'm an old school defensive kind of guy, so I like to have a defensive game. And Amory beat South Pontotoc this past Friday night, 53-6. And Isaiah Smith, a linebacker from Amory, 3 fumbles, returned 1 of them for a touchdown. So that's not a bad defensive night.
For some people, recovering 3 fumbles is a good season.
It is.
Or returning 1 fumble for a scoop and score it's good for a season. He had all that in 1 game.
In 1 game.
That's pretty amazing.
Crazy.
East Webster going a little further south here, down near Highway 82. LaKendrick Potts, wide receiver. Now here's another one burning it up, Ronnie.
Yep.
3 catches for 120 yards, 2 of them for touchdowns, and he bested the 67-yard kickoff with a 91-yard kickoff return for a touchdown. East Webster beats Caledonia 43-23.
And that's a big win for East Webster because Caledonia is a 5A school, so they're going to go in and take care of business. And you get a 91-yard kickoff, that excites the crowd, I'm sure.
Yeah, and I mentioned this earlier, Ronnie, when we were talking about East Webster. I'm not really a coach, but I coached baseball 1 year. And my first game I ever coached was at East Webster, and it snowed.
Oh, man.
So, and I'm just glad I didn't have a bat in my hand because, the ring and everything, and the hands hurt, man. It was so cold that day and not the best day for baseball.
So Rylan Thomas, a linebacker from Tupelo Christian, had 7 tackles, 1 for a loss, had an interception, which he returned for a touchdown, as Tupelo Christian beat Coach Ashley and the Faulkner 42-7.
And there's another defensive player, and again, filling up that stat sheet.
Absolutely. So, and there were some pretty good games as you and I are doing. We're getting text, and you're constantly on your phone looking at scores. But the biggest game in the state, number 2 West Point at number 1 Tupelo, and man, what a game for West Point to come back and win that thing. And unfortunately for the Commodores, who we do, they're on our schedule here in about 3 weeks or 2 weeks, and I don't know if we're looking forward to that or not, but they're definitely a team that state championship defending. I think they like a 19 straight times. I know it's not. It just seems like it. That every time you turn around, West Point's playing for a state championship.
They are, and Ronnie, Tupelo number 1,
yep.
and got beat this week. The week before, Oxford had them 13-0. They came back and won 20-13. I think this past week, West Point was up 14-0. Tupelo tied it up, and then West Point took the lead 21-14. Tupelo tied it up, and then West Point scored one more time, 28-21, and held Tupelo off to finish it off there and get that big win, number 1 versus number 2, 5A versus 7A. Man, what a game.
Yeah, and defending 6A state champs Grenada came to Oxford to take on the Chargers and was up 14-0, I believe, in that game.
17-7.
Yeah, 17-7. We kept getting a text. And so, but Oxford pulled it out 35-17. And you had an opportunity to sit down and talk with Coach Cutcliffe before the game.
That's right.
Man, the coaches we have in our area, I had a chance to talk to Coach McCann from Hernando, Coach Hart at Lafayette, all these good coaches that we have around here, man. It's just, Coach Fayette at Grenada and Coach Cutcliffe at Oxford, they all do outstanding jobs.
Yeah, and the thing I walk away with, I got to interview him and the kicker, which will air on this episode, actually. But with Coach Cut and other coaches as well, is how much they care for the players as young men, and the investment that they make in them and the other coaches as far as trying to make them become better men. And yes, they all want to win, they're competitive, those types of things, but the focus really is on just being genuine. That was the word that he kept using over and over, was genuine. And those young men really respond to that.
So here in just a moment, you're going to get to see the interview with Michael Thompson, the kicker for the Chargers. Great story he had, and you did an outstanding job with the interview. So kickers, either the hero or the GOAT a lot of times, and he's been both, it seems like. So but we'll throw it to that here in just a second. But just real quick, one more score. Calhoun City beat McEwen, I think it was 44-0 or something. Calhoun City just keeps rolling after that loss to Senatobia, who is on a roll.
Yes, and Senatobia, what was it, 40? Let's see, what was their score? Let's see if we can find it here. 22-0 shutout. I was thinking 20 points was scored by Olive Branch, but no. Senatobia took Olive Branch and shut them out 22-0. So, I think earlier in the season on air, you and I talked about Calhoun City rolling and would they maybe go undefeated or win most of their games, that kind of thing, and then Senatobia beats them. But now Senatobia is like, hey, we're not scared of the big school either.
No. And another good game that we've seen, Saltillo from earlier in the year, Saltillo and Shannon. And I believe it was 21-20 Shannon at the half, and Saltillo stormed back and won at 40-21.
Other way.
I'm sorry,
Saltillo had the 21-20 lead, and
right.
Shannon scored the 22nd half points. And so, and then another big game in the state, Starkville, Brandon. And Starkville pulled away late. That was a weird score. I think it was like 7-3, 7-2. It's something crazy score early on, but it ended up being 22-14. Starkville won that one against the Brandon Bulldogs.
So those crazy scores, I remember being at Lafayette one time, and I don't even remember who we were playing, but it was 4-0 in the first quarter. And I'm thinking, I don't know if I've ever announced a 4-0 score.
Yeah, not in football anyway. Baseball plenty of times.
That's right.
Basketball, but not football.
So we're going to jump out of here into a break. When we come back, we'll go straight into the interview that Josh had with Michael Thompson, the kicker for the Oxford Chargers. So we'll be right back with that interview right here on North Mississippi Gameday right after
North Mississippi Game Day podcast is here live at Oxford High School. I have Coach Chris Cutcliffe, the head coach, and Michael Thompson, number 18, the kicker, right? Junior, class of 27. And I'm Josh Guest. And so the first game of the season, Oxford is at the Collierville Dragons, right?
Yes.
Up just around Memphis up there. And late in the game, it's a 3-point game, right? The way I understand it, there were a couple of opportunities late, right? So tell us about the first opportunity. I think you said it was maybe under 2 minutes or right around 2 minutes left in the game.
Sounds right. Yeah, I think so.
About 2 minutes left in the game. We get in the field goal range, say about 45 yards, and I missed it wide right. So they got the ball with about 2 minutes left, and I'm pretty sure our defense got 3 and out, and we forced them to punt. Our offense did a good job getting back in the field goal range, and with about 2 seconds left, hit a 48-yarder to send it in overtime.
48-yarder with 2 seconds left, tied it up, and it goes to overtime. On the road, nonetheless, after you missed one late. That's pretty awesome stuff right there. That's pretty awesome stuff. So let me ask you this. When you were lining up for that kick with, the 2 seconds left after you kicked it, so what, 5, 6, 7 seconds left on the clock when you kicked it, what was going through your mind?
A lot. Looking back, I can't really remember too much about it. Just seeing the ball go through.
Yeah.
Obviously, the nerves are there. I always feel like if you're not nervous, you don't care.
Yeah.
So being nervous is good, but just watching that ball go through really relieved a lot of pressure. And I knew as soon as we made that, we were going to win it every time.
So did you feel locked in?
Yes,
like
sir.
when you were ready to kick it. And I've been told that by athletes before that yes, it's pressure. Yes, there's people around. Yes, it's a big moment. But a lot of times that practice, that training just kind of kicks in and they're just ready to go. So it sounds like that's kind of where you were. And you kind of addressed your emotions. I don't really remember all of it, but I do know there was some pressure. And I agree completely. If you're not experiencing a little bit of nervousness in that, you're probably not alive. So, do you remember anything specifically, like a teammate said or a coach, after you made it? The game time.
I remember celebrating with my teammates, running off the field. I remember Colin Flanagan jumping on top of me after I made it, and getting out the kickoff after it.
Nice. So, as you mentioned, it sent it to overtime. And then in overtime, you had a chance to kick another field goal, right?
Yes, sir.
And so, did you make it?
Yes, sir.
Of course, right?
Of course.
And y'all won by three, right? That field goal went through to win. So not only did you have the game tying one after you missed one with under 2 minutes left, I'm still in awe and shock of that. Then you go make another one, again, on the road at Collierville, first game of the season. Lots of expectations. Everybody's still undefeated. All those things are still there. So who was the first person after the game? When the game was over and you left to say, who's the first person you celebrated with? Do you remember?
First person, like after the kick or after the game?
Okay, so let's go with after the kick, and then let's go with after the game. How about that?
After the kick, I think it was my holder, Fisher Giles.
Okay, yeah.
Jumping up right on top of me. And then after the game, I think the first person I walked up to was my dad. He was the first person I saw after. And it was just a great moment to celebrate that with him.
And I'm just going to say, having kids that do things and dance and play sports and do that kind of stuff, probably Dad was beaming from ear to ear, and probably nothing could get Dad down that night at all.
Yes,
after
sir.
that. He was probably pretty fired up and excited. That's pretty awesome. Do you you talked about the kick. What about in overtime when you saw it go through the uprights? Did you have a thought? Did you have anything? Just excitement, elation? I think that you got the ball first, right?
We got the ball first.
So
yes.
then you were just going up by 3. You still had an overtime period to go. What was your first thought when it went through in overtime?
My first thought is I was excited, but I knew we still had one more period. I also had a lot of confidence in our defense to stop them. We've been doing it all game, and once we stopped them with that, then I really let the assignment go. And
Of course, right? Can't celebrate too soon for sure.
yes, sir.
So, is there anything that you do in particular to focus for a moment, or not focus, that you prepare to stay focused in a moment like that when the game is on the line? And again, I'm just going to keep going back to, holy cow, you missed one with a couple of minutes left, and you have to go right back out there again on the road. This is not the friendly confines here at Oxford where the home fans are cheering you on. This is on the road, and I'm sure y'all had fans travel, but is there anything you do in particular to sort of get ready for a moment like that?
Yes, sir. So Thursdays at practice, we'll end with a 2-minute drill where our offense will get the ball around 30, and then we'll move it up. They'll yell field goal. Everyone runs on, and then we'll kick one. And then in warm-ups, we'll end with an extra point kick. Everyone starts slow clapping and progressively getting faster. So it's just that extra noise gets you locked in, I feel like.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that's right. Does help for sure.
And I'll tell you that this week we made like a bet at the end of practice that if he made a 52-yard field goal, we'd take some running off of the rest of the team. So there's a lot of pressure at that point in time. And you've got coaches trying to distract him now and trying to make him miss it so that the players have to run more. and he stepped up to the plate and hammered that one at the end of practice. So
52 yards, and you're in high school.
Yes, sir. And
That's
I think
not fair.
If I missed, I had more running.
Yeah, that's right. That's
Oh,
right.
so there was even
So
more
there was
pressure.
a double pressure. Yes.
Yeah.
So but he came through.
Didn't want to let his teammates down, number one, but then number two, he had to do the extra.
No, yes. Sir.
Oh yeah, nobody likes running. Nobody likes running. Nobody likes running. So what? Just as far as being a kicker, what would you say in your experience as a kicker so far? What's the hardest part of being a kicker that people may not realize?
I think everyone realizes the mental side of it. Kicking is very mental. But another thing is the chemistry you need between the long snapper and the holder. I'm lucky enough to have two really good holder and long snapper. Guy for Jay is my long snapper. Fitzgerald is my holder. But if one of those things is off, it just throws off the whole operation. So having everything at 100%, it really makes a big difference.
Well, and you mentioned that, and we've all seen it. I mean, Coach, over the years, I'm sure you've seen it a lot of times where that exchange from the snapper to the holder, or the holder getting the ball down, not getting the laces out, all those things going wrong. Any one of those things going wrong, not all those, any one of those things going wrong, and the ball could go wide left, wide right, get blocked, not even get a kickoff. You've seen that, even, I mean, at college and even beyond level. So, interesting stuff there. It's good, and you're right. I think a lot of people do gravitate because the commentary all about the mental side, but then that's very, very key. And I also thought it was cool that your holder was the first one on the field that you celebrated with. So but that's part of it. I mean, that guy's got to get it right, or you got no chance to kick it. So that's good stuff. What about other sports? So let's start with right now. Do you play any other sports in high school, or are you just a football player? And then did you play other sports in the past that may help with your kicking skills?
So right now I'm just a football player, and I just recently stopped playing soccer last season. And I played soccer since I was 4 years old.
Okay.
All the way up to
Okay.
freshman year.
So you're kind of a natural kicker then.
Yes,
If
sir.
you grew up playing soccer, no doubt. Well, that definitely is a good thing there. What about you see people like I'm obviously. Well, I say obviously, people don't know I'm obviously most familiar with baseball, but you have these hitters that go through these routines, these pitchers. Do you have a pre-kick routine on the field that you do when you're getting ready?
Yes, sir. Every kicker's got their own little thing. Some a lot weirder than others. I'll shake my arms a little bit and just take one last look at the goalpost before I let the holder know I'm ready.
Yeah.
And then at that point, it's just.
Does the shaking of the arms just kind of calm you down a little bit?
I think so. It just sort of like takes my mind off it and a little bit.
I can see that. Good deal. I'll be looking for that next time I see you kick a field goal
There you go.
or an extra point. What about past experiences on the football field? Obviously, the kick with 2 minutes left, people might go, well, that was right before it happened, but that still had to play in your mind as you were going, and the things you probably learned something from that. You probably had you're obviously competitive, so you were probably like, I ain't missing this again. But, just the fact that happened, is there anything maybe even more further back in your past that's helped prepare you for a moment like that?
First game of 8th grade season, I was playing wide receiver and kicker. I think we were down 9 points, and I scored a touchdown and made the extra point. We're down by 2, and I think we recovered the onside kick, and we get in the field goal range. It was my first ever field goal in a game, and I missed it wide right and would win the game.
Oh.
And that feeling's always in my head, and even when we're out there doing field goal in practice, everyone's always yelling West Point at me. So it's still.
Was it at West Point? Is that where it was?
Yes, sir, at West Point. So everyone still talks about it to this day, but it's just something that's in my head, like, don't miss again, really.
Okay, nice. Yeah, so then that obviously has stuck with you then. So right now, junior.
Yes, sir.
And so I don't know, is football junior season, or can they talk to him earlier? I don't even know.
Yeah, camp circuit and things like that are going on, and recruiters can reach out and talk, and can't officially offer you, but offers are extended, and those types of things do start happening.
Okay, that's what I was wondering. So then, do you know what you're going to do after Oxford?
As of right now, I'm just waiting to see who gives me an opportunity. I know I want to kick in college,
Okay.
no matter where it's at.
Well, I mean, I just heard that you're an alien and made a 52-yard field goal in practice under pressure. So somebody ought to come calling, I would think, for sure. But that's pretty cool. Hope you get that opportunity. And, dude, clutch Gene all day long. 2 seconds left, tie the game, and then in overtime win it. That's just really, really, really awesome stuff. So congrats on that.
Thank you.
And I want to wish you both a continued success the rest of the season, and we'll see how far the Oxford Chargers can go in 7A this year.
Thank you.
To North Mississippi Game Day podcast. Ronnie Williams joined by Josh Guest, and we're here at the beautiful Town Place Suites here by Marriott in Oxford, and we want to thank Charter Road Hospitality once again for allowing us to use their facilities. And great sponsor to help us come in here and just hang out.
That's right.
And they've got, I think, 5 different properties here, and we may be jumping around and doing it at all different ones, but for now we're here. And we'll be in this location for a couple more weeks. Then we may move over to a new conference center that they're building here. But hey, thank them. But great interview with Michael Thompson of the Oxford Chargers, and just an outstanding young man.
It was, Ronnie. I really enjoyed getting to go over there to visit with he and Coach Cutcliffe. And we taped in the weight room, as you could tell. Yeah. And I love the weight racks had the Charger for life. You could kind of see it in the top of the video, maybe behind them. And but man, what a resilient young man. You know, he had a chance with 2 minutes left, or around 2 minutes, maybe a little under, to tie the game on the road, and he missed it. And Oxford defense forced a 3 and out, got the ball back, came back down the field. You even heard this too. They practiced that. They practiced that quick drill where they run the team out there, the field goal team, and try to get a kick at the last minute. And so they prepared for it, and it paid off because with 2 seconds left, he hit the kick to send it to overtime. So what a clutch kick there for him. And then not only that, so he's on the road, he misses one, then he has another chance, and he redeems himself and makes it. Then he gets a chance at overtime and hits another field goal, and they win by 3 points. So they did have to stop him after that.
Well, I know you talked about the one where he hit it to tie it up. In the video, I noticed all the Collierville students had moved down right behind the fence, behind the goalpost. As soon as he could hit it, you could see the dejection on their faces. They turned and started walking back to the bleachers.
They did. And just pointing out one other thing from that video that he mentioned was, because I asked him, I said, hey, is there anything that has happened in the past to prepare you for this moment? And he said in 8th grade, he was a receiver and a kicker. They were down by 9 points. He actually caught a touchdown pass for 6 points to put them within 3. He hit the extra point to put them within 2. Oxford got the ball back, and they almost never kick in that, but it was his first kick ever in a game, 30-yarder to win the game, and he missed it. Oh, man. And so he said he told himself then he was going to be ready for that moment. And even though he missed one with 2 minutes left, he came back with 2 seconds left. The definition of clutch, getting it done right there when it mattered most, and then also in overtime winning it. So what a performance. Had we had a Domino's Pizza Player of the Week in week 1, he would have been our guy.
Absolutely. And well-deserving, great kid, great program for the Oxford Chargers. But speaking of the Domino's Pizza Players of the Week, we're doing 2 this week. We're doing a female and a male. And our female is a volleyball player from Lake Cormorant. And when you go, you look all over, she's been Player of the Week on the Commercial Appeal, the Clarion Ledger. I mean, just an outstanding, one of the top volleyball players in the state of Mississippi, and it's Sofia Gonzalez. And against Center Hill, she had 18 kills and 29 digs on Tuesday night, and then come back out Thursday night. Lake Cormorant traveled to Oxford to take on the Chargers. They had won that Center Hill 3-0. This one they take 3-1, and she only had 31 kills and 14 digs in that.
Yeah, just 31 kills. You know, just a day at the park.
Yeah. So for one of the top volleyball players in the state, and then our male athlete Player of the Week from Domino's Pizza. I had the opportunity to see this young man perform, and that's what he did. He performed. A golfer from Tupelo High School, Jack Morris. Lafayette hosted at Tunica National. Great course. That course has had the SEC tournament, the SWAC tournament. University of Memphis plays stuff there. They said they've had some pro-ams, different things there. he just goes out and shoots a 69, 3 under par. And that's not the first time he's done that at Tunica this year. He has shot under par in like 8 of his 9 tournaments he's played, and that's where they'll play their state tournament. And I don't know if there's a golfer in the state that's going to play better than that.
Yeah, that's getting it done. I mean, 3 under is what I'm hoping to do, like in a 4-man scramble.
I'm telling you, and my son plays golf, and he shot an 86, and I was super excited to see Jack come in with a 69. I was like, man, that's awesome. That's so much fun. It's a lot of fun. And Tunica, the wind was blowing, man, and this kid was just playing some outstanding golf. So, hey, we want to thank Sofia and Jack, our Domino's Pizza's Players of the Week here on the North Mississippi Game Day. So we'll take a time out. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back to North Mississippi Game Day. I'm Ronnie Williams, joined by Josh Guest, and we got a special guest with us here today, the head coach of the Lafayette Commodores, the 5A state champions, Coach John Walker. Coach, glad to have you here.
Thank y'all for having me.
Yes, sir. So, a outstanding season last year. Didn't start out the way that you wanted it to, I know, but you kind of took a trip down to the coast for spring break and had a couple of good teams that you played down there, and then things kind of changed once you got back home.
Yeah, I think all 4 teams that we played down there were a challenge for us. We don't always, when we make that trip with the intent to play tough teams, right. and usually it's before you start playing league games. But at that point, we were already 0-2 in the league and had lost a series to Cormorant going into it. So we kind of use it as a primer, and it served its purpose this year. Anytime you can get guys together and take them, out of their comfort zone, right. and put them in a hotel together, and you start to build a little camaraderie, which I think our clubhouse is probably as close as any. And when you consider guys that go to Lafayette could possibly live an hour or more away from each other, that's a unique thing. And so that trip's always really good for us, and it did kind of get the ball rolling for us coming out of spring break.
I know when they won the North Half, they came back and beat Corinth after Corinth beat them in the regular season. You put out a tweet about how this team had tested you and had kind of a little different than what you'd had before.
Yeah, a really hard group to coach, no doubt about it. Extremely talented. We had to do things differently, and that's that's something that challenges me to try to figure out which strings to pull or which buttons to push. And that group was unique in the way we attacked our offense, and there's a whole lot more bunting that went on, and just action type stuff that we had to do offensively, because it was one of our honestly weaker offensive teams that I've had in 22 years of doing this. But they learned to be multiple. They learned to apply pressure in a lot of different ways. And you see a Landon Cobb who's 6'3", 210 pounds, and he's bunting for hits. Yeah. It's that kind of stuff was kind of the magic that kind of transformed us.
Yeah, and one of the things I really liked was 2 years ago you beat New Hope in the North Half to get to go down to Pearl and play at Trustmark for the state championship. And New Hope's always been kind of that team, so you got the dog pile over there that year.
Right.
And this year you got them in the second round. Right. So was it any difference in doing that? Because that's usually your biggest rival, I would think.
Yeah, well, for sure. There's so much history in their program, and they have been there and have won it so many times that ultimately they're going to be a challenge for everybody. They have extremely dynamic arms. They are really well coached. Certainly getting them in the second round and being able to do it in the manner that we did it. I mean, I don't want to say it was easy, but it wasn't near as stressful as it was the season prior. And it being in the second round, there's no championship to be won in the second round, but getting by them and having a chance to kind of get back at Corinth was a big deal.
Right.
And the thing with Corinth, when they took two from us in early March, and we stood out in left field at Corinth, and I looked at our group and I said, we're going to see these guys again, and we're going to be very different. And 2 months later, there we were. So
that's very true. And one of the things that Corinth did in that first 2-game set, which they like to do, they like to put pressure, they like to put the guys in motion, came back to bite them in the north half because we took care of them at the plate to keep it scoreless. And if I'm not mistaken, was that their only shutout of the season?
You're asking the wrong guy. Not a stat guy as far as that kind of stuff goes. I know they were very, very good. They had an extremely potent offense. Coach Williams is one of my very best friends in the world, and I know the type of job that he does, and he has some really good players, a really fine program, and we were just better in those 2 games. We just pitched it better in those 2 games, and not to say that their guys pitched bad, because they were 2 very close ball games that that they really could have gone either way. If you'd have told me we'd hit 3 solo home runs to win a game 3-2 after giving up 2 in the first inning and having to go to the bullpen so early to win a north half and to get a chance to go to back to Pearl for the 2nd straight year, I don't know if I would have believed you, but I know the type of guys that we have, and I knew that we were going to find a way, and that's what that group turned into. Like they were just calm, and they understood what they were, and they never got rattled, and that was a testament to their toughness.
Well, what you just described in that game is one of those things, like you said, I wouldn't have believed it either.
Yeah.
But there was 8 or 10 of those games this year that Lafayette played that were that same narrative, not the same story, not the same makeup, but if you'd have told me going into the game that this would have happened, I would have said we have no chance.
Right.
And so, but yet somehow we found a way, and Ronnie, you mentioned earlier that after spring break, I think we lost 2 games after spring break as all the rest of the season. We swept through the playoffs. Lafayette, y'all, us. Of course, we our 2 play, but and we do some PA and play-by-play and that kind of stuff. But you're right. Corinth has those top 2, especially table setters. Their offense is good, but those top 2 in the lineup, man, they get on base and they just put pressure on you. But I mean, we had so many close games. I think both against Pontotoc in the regular season were 2-1.
Yeah.
And our guys also put pressure. I think Colin Waltrip led the team in steals, and had a bunch of them. Yeah. And so we had guys in motion. We had several guys. You mentioned Landon Cobbs. I think Lane Theobald, Caleb also did a lot of bunting and things like that turned into hits where they were. Right. I don't know if they were always butting for a hit, but sometimes just to move runners.
Let's be clear. We're always trying to be on first base. We're always trying to be safe, Josh, and we have we have a technique that gives you the best chance to do that. Now, we don't always put it where it's supposed to be, and it turns into a sacrifice. But more times than not, if they're getting a bunt sign, it's bunt for a hit or bunt for an RBI. One of those 2 things.
One other name sticks out that I left out of that list right there, and that's Easton Thompson, because there was a game where he had, I think, 2 bunts in that game that both could have been instructional videos on how to get it done.
Yeah, he's probably the most efficient bunter that we have in our program, and has been for the last couple of years.
Yeah, I thought it was amazing.
He's very good at it.
Yeah, and a lot of times those bunts, I mean, whether you're calling sacrifice or whatever, I mean, they're great bunts right down the line. There's no way that the pitcher can get to it. Third baseman is going to get to it. So after Corinth, we go down to Pearl again, and you got South Jones, who was pretty talented baseball team.
Very talented.
And so the first game was a little easy, not easy, but it was a little easier type game than it was in game 2, I think.
Well, I think a lot with game 1, our comfortability of being there, the year before, even though we didn't have but a couple of guys that even saw action in that series. We had guys that knew what that park was like. They knew what it was going to be like, and we were not overwhelmed by any of them. We saw a very good D1 arm right out of the gate who hadn't lost very many, and we had a plan against him and executed it about as perfectly as we could execute it. And we put several runs on him early, and you could see the game sped up on them when we were able to score early. And I don't want to say we cruised, but you give Tanner Harris that kind of run support, you're going to have a really good shot to win that ball game. And of course, game two is a little bit different. Again, we had to go to the bullpen early in that. Again, that's something that we were accustomed to. It was kind of a reverse closer opener type deal that we utilized with Levi and Brett, especially down the stretch. It worked as about as well as anything you could imagine with that type of, I guess, unconventional setup. Those two guys were great in their roles the entire season, but especially down the stretch and in the postseason. But similar type deal. I mean, they get up. They hit a pretty big double, I think, there that scored some runs, and they went up several runs, like in the fifth inning or something like that. At no point did our group ever get shaken. Yeah. And there was somebody that it really wasn't. I don't even think they were in the game at the time. That they were in the dugout, and I hear him say, "Hey, we're down 4 runs or whatever it was and we're in their bullpen already, and we got 6 outs to go. Yeah. This is easy. Let's just get it done." And we got a big 2 RBI hit with 2 outs in the 6th inning from Ian Mayo that just kind of, you could see that impacted. And that was a good, solid gut punch to them. And they didn't come out in the 7th the same way. Yeah. And
I was going to ask you about the triple from Lawson to get it started.
That was, I can't take credit for any of that. We were looking to pinch hit there to lead off. Lawson is such a dynamic athlete that had plenty of starts and didn't start that game. Coach Reno was the guy. He said let's let Lawson have this shot. And, again, cold off the bench. I mean, he hadn't taken a swing since pregame BP. I mean, it's not like in the big leagues. You can't go down in the tunnel and hit and get loose. He just puts his helmet on, his gloves, and got in the box. And I think the second pitch he saw, and it was a no doubt. I mean, over the right fielder's head, smooth triple, and of course opens up our bunt game. And as soon as they, we were going to do it 2 times in a row. Right after Lane got walked, and they decided to walk Levi, so to load the bases up. So that kind of changed our plan a little bit. And then of course Colin hits the double that clears them, and which was such a cool thing for those guys to just they never faltered, and it was a neat thing for a coach to see for sure.
It's kind of like we were talking to the guy in the press box, and he said, "Man, it's kind of like a fight. Y'all took their best shot, they hit you in the mouth, and you came right back." And so that's what I liked, how they like you said, they never quit, and it's a special group, and you got most of them coming back.
We do. The big thing that when I look at it is the number of innings. Like, we got 100% of our innings back, and that is, there's no substitute for having that much experience on the mound return. Just for 2 straight years, these guys have, our senior class don't know anything but Trustmark. I mean, they've been there both years of their high school career, so they badly want to get back. And we're going to have to be a better team in 2026 than we were in 2025. I mean, we know that we're kind of marked, and we're going to be challenged. The other teams in our league are going to be good, and then there's a couple of perennial 4A powers that have moved up to 5A in the South, and it's going to be a different challenge for us. It's different for me, obviously, trying to defend a high ground, which is in 4 trips down there. That was my first opportunity to win one. So, and still trying to find the right buttons to push with this group, who at least every other day, make me want to pull my hair out. But I love them. There's no question about that. But they are a challenge.
Well, Coach, you mentioned Lawson's hit. It was definitely a no doubter. Even from up in the press box, we were as soon as he hit it, we were like, that's over his head. It's burning.
Yeah.
And and then I heard from the stands from some fans that were around when they walked Levi to get to Colin. I heard that somebody turned to somebody and said, "What are they doing? This kick and hit." And so, and did he show it? He battled at the plate at that and got the ball down third. And I loved Lane Theobald coming from third home.
Yeah.
He knew what that meant. He knew the game was tied. He knew it was the top of the seventh. He knew all three runners were coming home, and you could see it in his body language as he scored.
Yeah.
And I just love that. So one of the things you said was we faced a really good D1 arm in game one.
Yeah.
We faced a lot of good arms. We have good arms in our district throughout, and it seemed like, with the exception of that game one against Corinth, where both of those games, in my opinion, we let things kind of get away from us. It kind of unraveled on us, not necessarily from the mound or not necessarily against their pitcher, just things happened.
Yeah.
And it looked off in that. But after that, when we faced good arms, we found a way.
Yeah.
We just kept finding a way over and over and over again. And so, I mean, that.
Well, no knock on Dylan Causey, because he is fantastic.
Yes.
Extremely talented arm, very good player, but he was probably the fifth best arm we saw, and I'm not sure that they may have saw anybody better than Tanner Harris.
Yeah.
For example, that's the difference in kind of the way we try to challenge our guys in the non-conference. I mean, we're going to go up against good arms, and we're going to get everybody's best shot, and that's what you want. I mean, it's winning games is fun, but accomplishing a challenge and figuring out a way to overcome something that's not easy. Bouncing back and beating Menachino from New Hope in the playoffs after he just absolutely dominated us in the regular season. Again, mid-90s arm, super talented guy. Found a way to beat him. He didn't have his best stuff. We figured out a way to punish him, and we put a lot of runs on him that night. And again, super talented guy, but I mean, I just felt like it was our group that had the toughness factor that we try to instill in every group that we have, and they just never felt that they were outmatched.
Yeah, sometimes it sticks and sometimes it doesn't. It seems to have stuck with this group, right?
Well, at least for those few months, it has. I hope it's something that continues, and they continue to be hungry and continue to have a little bit of fire in them to want to take the next step. That's something that we've talked a lot about this fall is, hey, we've got to figure out how to do some of the things that we weren't great at better. And I think obviously we need to be good at what we're good at. You never want to take a step back in what you're already good at, but we want to try to be better at the things that can be a separator. Base running is always one of those things that every team I've tried to coach, I wanted them to be a really good base running team. They don't have to be a fast team, but figuring out a way to find 90 feet whenever you can find it. And I think we're really I think we're different in the way we approach that. I think we do some things that a lot of people that sit in the bleachers will probably look a little crazy, and that's what we want. We want them holding onto their seat, and we want it to be that way. We're calm and comfortable, but we want them to be a little shaken.
Well, that's one of the things that I know I have said on broadcast before. That I mean, there's certain players that are maybe have grasped that. And maybe just have the skill set to swipe those bases sometimes. And when I say swipe them, I don't necessarily mean a steal.
Yeah.
I mean take that extra 90 feet when it's there.
Right.
And I've even said it. I said this is a hallmark of this team. They get on there, and I think about it like I said, a Lane Theobald or somebody, and he gets on like at some point he's going to find a way to second. He's going to find a way to third, and somebody's just got to get him home. Yeah. And so, is there anybody maybe in the senior class of 712 or how many ever it is? Is there anybody that's stepping up, maybe that hasn't been a leader in the past that you think may turn into one this year?
Leadership is a thing that it's harder and harder to find with young kids. I mean, it's hard, and we've I think about like our fall challenges that we do, and we put them on different teams. We call them boat crews, and we try to put guys in position to lead that maybe aren't natural leaders. And a few years ago, we transitioned I guess it was 2 years ago, we transitioned from the just standard 2 teams because it was, it was bad. Like it was not the type of fall that we wanted, and the leadership wasn't there. I put 2 guys in leadership roles, Jack East and Brody Brightup, and the maturity level in those 2 changed that group.
Yeah.
I mean, it completely changed. I mean, they became guys that would walk out of the locker room and see me out there with a rake, and they would go get rakes and come out and help, and and then they would say, and they were the type of guys that could say something to somebody, and then they would, get along.
Right.
And they changed their tone a little bit. And with last year's group, we kind of did something similar. And then, of course, this year, I think with our senior class, I think there's a lot of guys that, with their actions, are leaders. I think there's not a lot of real vocal guys, which is okay, but there are guys that will, get out in front and lead by example and do those types of things. You would hope that your guys that see the whole field, your catcher type guys would be the ones that do that. I think Tanner and Easton and Taylor John, we're very fortunate to have 3 really elite catchers. Unfortunately, they're all in the same class and they all can't play there on the same night, but they all can do other things well too. But and they're for the most part, have a leadership ability that I think we're going to need to lean on for sure.
Well, I will say, for what it's worth, I did notice, in my opinion, Tanner last year, with that senior class moving out, with him stepping into that, kind of number 1 role, seemed like to me he kind of took that step and became a little bit more of a vocal leader than maybe he had been, and was needed. Yeah. And I've seen it too with kids on this team, maybe not at Lafayette, but in travel, because familiar with so many of them, see other players and they let them lead them because of their play or their habits or their work ethic, not necessarily because of their vocal leadership.
Right.
So I get both parts of what you're saying.
You'll see guys that will wait around and want to go hit after, and then they'll just look at somebody and say, "Hey, come on, let's go hit." And that, to me, that's leadership.
Yeah.
And it may be a young guy, it may be somebody in their same class, it may be somebody that's better than them. It varies, but they'll go out and they'll hit and spend some time together that way. And usually when 1 or 2 go, then you'll look out there and there'll be a handful. To me, that's where I think that's where school ball, scholastic ball, high school ball, whatever you want to call it, separates from the travel, because you're playing with guys that you sit next to in English and you've been in class with, going to lunch with since kindergarten, and they are not somebody from another town that you only see on the weekend, and it becomes a little bit of a brotherhood, and that's I think that's a unique thing that high school provides. That the travel circuit is what it is and it's great, but that high school thing is different.
Yeah, we kind of did that this summer. Brett was a pitcher only, so we would only go on the day he pitched, so there was never any time where we'd go spend 2 or 3 or 4 days with our team.
Right.
But one of the things, and this is why you make the big money, so I'm going to ask you this. But with our 13 seniors we've got some very good underclassmen that can play baseball.
For sure.
How do you find time to get those kids involved and moving, just the moving parts of it?
Well, nobody gets left behind at practice. Right. And we are, you could say that we've got a good chunk of our lineup and all of our pitching back, but maybe somebody that didn't get much action last year, that it may be an underclassman, maybe another senior, that has been a JV guy or just been a fringe guy or a bench guy that makes strides. And look, I can assure you there is nobody in this program, connected to this program, that wants to win more than I do. And I can guarantee this 1,000%, nobody wants to lose less than I do. So that is something that my entire career, I don't think that's ever been a question. And I'm going to put the best guys, be it a 9th grader, senior that's been a 2-year starter, or whatever, whichever guy gives us the best chance to be successful, that's what we're going to do. We had Tyrus Williams go down several years ago, and we put a 5'1" center fielder to replace him, and he was the best defensive guy we had. And a lot of people had trouble with that. He was a freshman, and, a lot of people could have brought him off the freshman team, and just lots of different things. But he was our best chance, and that's just what we do.
Look, that's what I've been around you for a few years, and I know you're going to put the best kids out there that are going to give us a chance to get back down to where we want to go, and that's I talk about that with my son. We were coming back from I think Gulf Coast this summer, and he started this summer, but he was your relief guy. And I asked him, I said, what do you prefer? Do you like the starting or coming in relief? He said, I really like coming in with the bases loaded and nobody out. I'm like, it's crazy.
Nobody likes that.
And he said, if you take a look at our own team, though, he said, everybody's like that. There's no fear on our team. And so I think our seniors, even the juniors, they're not scared of the competition that's going to be below for positions.
And we try to practice that way.
Yeah.
Like we put a lot of pressure on them in practice, and if you were to be on top of that hill and watch one of our practices and hear me during practice, you would think I hated them, right? Because I'm a loud guy, and I'm an intense guy, especially during practice, and and it's a tough place. If you're not on the hill, if you're on the field, it's hard to hear.
Yeah.
It's just a unique, So I'm loud, and there's a lot of instruction that gets said at high volume.
I've heard of those up there before.
Right. So, but we try to find competitive elements every day, and to put them into those pressure type deals and have a payout. If you don't get it done, so it's that's part of our program, a big part of our program.
Well, coming up, is the schedule done yet for next year?
Other than tournaments, we're in 2 tournaments. We'll go back to the beach during spring break, and then late February we'll go to the Mid-Mississippi there in Jackson, which we did a couple years ago, and play a couple games there. And I know for sure one of those games will be Germantown. Coach Pete and I are pretty good friends, and haven't played since he got to Germantown. He was at Ridgeland. We ran into each other quite often, and I have a lot of respect for what they do. And so we're going to get a chance to play them on one of those days, and then somebody else that I can assure will be very, very good in the other game. So, and then the coast will provide its own challenges, and as much as I say,
I told somebody we played the Astros AAA team, that team out of Texas.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, we certainly we caught them on a bad day for sure, and got a very heavy shot from them. I mean, there's no doubt, and they were incredibly talented, and of course it's our fourth game in 4 days, and we've been out of our own beds, and a lot of things that factor into that whipping that we took that day. It was it took a little while for us to overcome that. I mean, we had Clarksdale right out of the gate after spring break, and a lot of people would think that those would be easy games, and he's done a fine job over there, and they have some good players, and they were not easy to get by.
I think we were down in the 4th inning of that game, the first one, game 1 at Clarksdale.
Indeed, we were.
And so came back late to win.
Yeah.
So we lose Clarksdale, and we lose Corinth, who we met in the North Half, but we're picking up Caledonia and Columbus.
Yeah.
So any difference, I guess?
Caledonia's breaking in a new coach, but always a consistent winner in 4A. They have an extremely good arm, and the new guy is good, Chase Reeves, who came over from East Mississippi, who I think will do a great job there. I know that they're going to be very good with their number 1 on the mound. He is a very, very talented guy. I don't know much about Columbus. It's been several years since I've played them, like probably 10, 12 years since I played at Columbus. Back in the day, they were a pretty solid program. But I don't. In recent years, they have not been very good. So I really don't know what to expect there.
Still got new Open Pontotoc.
New Open Pontotoc is still in the mix, and West Point's still in the mix. And our old friend Coach Reagan has been hired at West Point, so we'll get to run up against him. And Florence moves into the north. So that'll be an additional challenge in the north. And our old friend Coach Barry is now the head coach at Florence. So hopefully somebody takes care of them before we run into him, because I know he's going to do a really good job too.
I mean, for me, of course, we both have seniors on the team, and I know what you meant to Brett, and I appreciate what you've done for him. You constantly are having to lose these kids, and I know they mean something to you. I know sometimes you say it sounds like you hate them, but I know you don't.
No.
So this is. I'm not saying over any other group, but this group has been together. I mean, you got 13 kids that played together since they were first, second grade.
Right.
And so it's a lot of kids. So if you put the pressure on you, no more than you're going to put on yourself. But this special group, I definitely think they've got what it takes to get back to trust more.
Well, I do too. Honestly, Ronnie, I think every group that we put together has a chance to get down there.
Yeah.
That's our goal every year, whether we're breaking in a new group or, which we did last year.
Right.
We return a trip to state championship with an entirely new lineup.
Yeah.
I mean, except for one guy. It was an entirely new group. And certainly I hope we get back down there with this group again. And then I hope we do it in 2027 with the next group.
Yeah.
That's our goal, and I want that to be something that, and I think it can be something that is, within reach at Lafayette every single year.
Yeah.
And we have those types of kids, and I think they care enough about what we do that it matters to them, and they're going to work hard to achieve that, because nobody wants to be the group that lets the next group down, or the previous group down, and that's. The legacy is important, and we hope our guys leave one for the next group.
Right.
Well, and you mentioned going back possibly, but you also mentioned earlier about being the hunted now instead of hunting, and so again a whole different dynamic. And something we've talked about with people is, hey, a third trip would be great that we can do it, but also it is a little different. We got teams that all the teams will be going, hey, that's defending state champs, and we're going to take their best shot. Not that they didn't give us their best shot before, but they got a little extra mojo to give us this time around. So, but I do like the resiliency of the boys, the team, and what you and the other coaches have done with them, for them, to them, even. And I like to say your loud coaching and encouragement on the field makes them mentally tough.
Well, I mean that's an important piece too. Look, you mentioned. Our other coaches, Coach Caleb Reno and Jonathan Lindsay. Look, we are very lucky. I wish we had more guys, but we're doing this. Those two guys work their tails off.
Yeah.
They work their tails off, and they coach these kids hard, and they have a lot of responsibility in our program. And I'm super grateful for them. And our kids are lucky that they get to be coached by those two guys. There's no doubt about that.
Well, we've got a great middle school program, which I think you've got some changes coming up in that. So you've got a new coach for that.
Right. I'm encouraged that William Elliott he's back in our program after a few years out. He had this senior group when they were in middle school, and he's decided to come back on board, and he's hit the ground running, and he's working our middle school group hard, which is a talented group. It's a talented group, and they're getting the things that they need from a guy that knows how to deliver it to 12, 13, 14-year-old guys. He's very good at it.
Well, that's one of the things I hope that continues after we're gone. Of course, we're going to still be around watching baseball because that's my sport and I love it. So, but these kids that are continually develop and they're trying to get in that rotation, trying to get in that lineup, and it's a good problem to have that you've got those kind of athletes.
Right. Well, I mean that's. It's always a challenge because everybody in our program deserves the opportunity. Now they don't always get them in games, but the opportunity at practice is there every single day. And we tell them all the time, hey, it's your job to give us no other choice.
Yeah.
That's the gist of the competitive nature. is you have to make it so we don't have a choice but to give you the shot. And we have guys that are doing that daily now that hasn't, or haven't necessarily been in the mix at a heavy rate before, and they're bringing it. And I think we've got some guys that are going to make some splashes that some people don't expect.
Right.
And we expect it, and they expect it of themselves. But I think we've got some surprises in store for some people that maybe don't see it coming, and they're going to be like, "Where did this guy come from?"
Well, we're going to end it with this. We've got, like we talked about, the big senior class. We're going to be talking to those guys, all the players that made all district and all state. We're going to be sitting down doing some interviews with them. Do you know off the top of your head how many of those have offers right now and how many have committed? How many will be? Because I know there's going to be some more that's going to get some offers.
Yeah, so I know that Tanner has committed to East Central Community College. Tanner Harris has. Levi Ham has committed to Northwest. Colin Waldrop has committed to Itawamba. Caleb Guest has committed to Meridian. Brett Williams has committed to Holmes. I'm pretty sure that Easton Thompson is about to commit pretty soon. He called me actually at the kickoff. That was him calling. So he may have been calling to alert me that he may have made a decision. I'm not sure if I'm forgetting somebody, but I know there's more that will get opportunities. I mean, I feel pretty confident in 2 or 3 other guys maybe having a real shot to play at the next level in that group. And then there's guys in our underclass that are going to play too. I mean, it's just we're very fortunate that we have guys that want to do that, and we try to prepare them for that daily. So.
Well, with Brett being on some of these recruiting visits and the showcases, of course, coach will come up and say, "Man, you guys got a program up there. Coach Harvey's doing great. What about this kid? Let me ask you about him." And so, and I'll just say, and there's nobody on this team that can't play at the next level. And so doing an outstanding job. And Coach, we appreciate you coming by. Josh, you got anything?
I just, again, appreciate it too. You mentioned the Brett and everything, and Caleb, same thing with what you and the other coaches made him, what y'all done for him. It's very much appreciated by him and by his parents as well. So just want you to know that.
We love those guys, all of them. I hope they can see through the intensity, and I try to tell them at least weekly, but I'd like to tell them daily that I love them, and they mean a lot to me. And I think we've got a special program. We got a special community. Our school is special, and I know a lot of people say that, but at Lafayette, that's the truth. Our leadership is top notch, and we're very fortunate to be where we are, and to have the type of people involved in our program that we do. And you guys are a big part of that.
Sure. We appreciate that, Coach. I'll give you my ring size before we leave. Hey, we want to thank Coach John Walker for stopping by here on the North Mississippi Game Day podcast, and state champion 5A Lafayette Commodores, and looking to get back down to Trustmark down in Pearl and do it again. Thanks, Coach, for coming by.
Thank you, guys.
All right. We'll see you right after this on North Mississippi Game Day. To North Mississippi Game Day podcast here from Oxford, Mississippi at Charter Road Hospitalities. This is the Town Place Suites by Marriott that we're at tonight. Josh Guest, I'm Ronnie Williams, and we thank you for joining us. And man, we really would like for you to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, share this video with your friends, because we want to get so many more people involved as far as students. And they just don't have to be the great student athletes. They can just be an athlete that has a great story.
That's right. They can be one. Maybe you have an athlete at your school that volunteers and does a whole lot of public service. That'd be a great story.
Yeah.
Maybe you have a scholar athlete who Again, just as a scholar athlete, they have that really high GPA, and they just go on the field and they just get it done. They're just a teammate that supports other teammates, and maybe they're great if it's baseball in the dugout or on the sideline if they're in football or whatnot. Like maybe they're a defensive player, but they cheer the offense on.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
And we want to go from 7A to 1A. So if you're in a region in the north part of Mississippi, I know Florence is a new school down that moved into 5A this year. So, hopefully we can get some people from Clinton, somewhere down in there that's the 7A. So 1A to 7A, we want to tell your stories, and we want to share your athletes right here all over the great state of Mississippi. So, but one of the other things that we have to do is we have to thank our great sponsors.
That's right.
Domino's Pizza has been great to me, as I said in the last show, since 1980, middles of the 80s, when they started sponsoring a little show called Sports Round that we did at the Ole Miss television station. And then they sponsored Lafayette football for us for years, and it's just great to have a partner like that. And then the Charter Road Hospitality. So
right.
Got to thank them, and they have some great properties here, some Hampton Inns here in Oxford, the Holiday Inn Express, the Town Place Suites, which we're at, and then right across the road over here is the True by Hilton. But man, they're building something special here in Oxford.
They are right beside Obie's. We're the Gin. If you remember the Gin in Oxford, it's where it was. But they are building the Gin Hotel and Spa.
Yeah.
And it is I think it's massive, but it's just a big building there, right there in the middle of things, right off the square. So pretty awesome thing that they're getting done there. And I want to go back to Domino's just for a second.
Sure.
If you don't have the app, get it and earn points, okay? Because it's worth it. I can't tell you how many free things I've gotten over the years with my Domino's points. So, all the apps have those things, but Domino's is one that I've used for a very long time. And so, yes.
Yeah.
So it's good stuff.
One thing, and go back to the Gin. I know the old people like me that kind of grew up in Oxford, went to school here. You remember the Gin and the Hoka that used to be down behind Nukes, down from the Oxford Park Commission's office, down behind it. So where the Gin warehouse or the Gin restaurant was, and the Hoka is exactly where this place is going to go, and it's the Gin Hotel and Spa, and it's going to be so nice, and can't wait to get you. So if you're coming in town for number 4 ranked Ole Miss football, who big win last night, a lot of people here for that. If you're coming in town for a youth baseball tournament, if you're coming in town for cheerleader camp this summer, there's all kind of stuff that goes on around this town. Double decker, we have that. They have all these different things on campus where they bring people in. So a lot of great properties here, and we invite you to stay at all of them, because there's not one that's just you look at it and say, no, I'm not staying there. These are all top rated places in Oxford.
They are, and if you're from Oxford and you need a place to meet, you got the meeting rooms, and so great spaces. In fact, right here at Town Place Suites by Marriott, they're redoing a space right now to make it into an immaculate meeting room. I've seen the space; it's not quite done yet, but it is incredible. And hopefully, when they get it finished, we'll be recording some from there as well too. So, if you're local, maybe you're not coming into town for a ball tournament or a ball game or something, but you're already in town and you just need a place to meet. They got some good spaces at all these places, so check it out and go ask them. See what they can do for you.
They really do. And once again, we ask, hey, like, follow, subscribe to our Twitter page. It's at North MS Gameday, or right here on YouTube. You just hit that little subscribe button, hit that bell too, and then that way it lets you know when we put some shorts on. Josh is great with doing these shorts. You're going to see some of those that pop up, and we'll share them on our X Twitter page as well. But man, we're going to have a lot of content moving forward, a lot of interviews coming up that we've got planned, and just like we had Coach John Walker here just a little earlier. If you're a coach and you're in Oxford and you want to come in and sit down and talk with us, man, we'd love to have you. So anytime we can get an opportunity to talk, we can do Zooms. So if you just want to interview and you want to talk, man, we'll Zoom you in. And so a lot of different things we can do on this show. And hey, we're still figuring it out too.
That's right. And what, just again, to circle back to those athletes, if maybe you're an athlete, maybe you had a play or a game that you want to tell somebody about or bring to our attention, man, hit us up on Twitter and tell us. and let us know a stat line or whatever. So
Absolutely.
we definitely want to highlight again athletes all over, and not just football, because I know it's football season right now. But we highlighted golf and volleyball tonight,
Right.
and you have other sports throughout the year. So just let us know. Just let us know.
We got cross country, we got archery, not archery, skeet shooting, sporting clays. That's what
Yeah,
they call
that's what-
sporting
yeah,
clays.
yeah.
So a lot of different things are going on, and send a picture. As you saw a little earlier when we were talking about Sofia and Jack, their picture pops up. So some of these other athletes we talked about a little earlier, they may have a picture pop up. So hey, send us a picture, even a highlight video. We'll take that.
Yeah.
We can show that. So a lot of things that we're gonna do, and we're having some fun with this show, and we just want to highlight high schools all over the great state of Mississippi. So, any final thoughts tonight, Josh?
No, just again, like, follow, share, and send us your stories.
Absolutely. So every Sunday night we're right here at the Town Place Suites by Marriott in Oxford, and we plan to have this on by noon on Wednesdays. Maybe sometimes it might be a little later, kind of depending on if we can get some interviews in the meantime. But it would definitely be on by Wednesday night. So thanks for joining us again. I know I kind of ramble on. I'm sorry. But we just want you to join us, want to have a good time. So for Josh Guest, I'm Ronnie Williams. We'll see you next week with more North Mississippi Game Day podcast right here on YouTube.